Hello, I'm George Williams, and I'm the Next Search Catalog Coordinator for the Northeast Kansas Library System.
I'm Christopher Brannon with the Coeur d'Alene Public Library and the Cooperative Information Network.
And this is, well, I don't know what number we're up to, but it's another video from us.
Number 6.
Number 6 from koha-US. And like last week, this time we'll be talking about some tips and tricks and fun things and crazy stuff you can do with SQL. Last week we talked a little bit about adding links to reports, which is something you can find in the Koha Wiki. And we showed you how to add a link, and it occurred to me that that involves concatenating things, and concatenate is a function that's built into SQL that you can, if you know how to use it, you can do a lot of crazy stuff in Koha with it. There's all kinds of things you can do with it that makes it useful. So I thought we'd talk about that. So I'm going to start sharing my screen. And I always have to figure out which screen I want to share, because I got 3 of them now. I'm one of those cool people that has the desk covered with monitors. And let's see, I got that open. I'm going to move everything over here. So this, of course, is the koha-US website. It's koha-us.org. And you can find all these videos under Learn From Us if you click there. And click on koha-US videos. There's the list of all the videos we've done so far. And this one will go right there shortly. And it occurs to me that I didn't put this up here, but I'm going to put up the Koha Community Wiki SQL library. Since we're talking about SQL, this is the place in the Koha community where there's all of these tons and tons of reports that are already built that you can find. 90% of the time, if I need a report, that's the first thing I do, is I go here and I look for something. And a lot of times I don't find something that is exactly what I want, but I find something that's pretty close, and I can build on that. I'm sure you do the same thing too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the koha-US demo site, and we're going to do most of what we want to do here, but I'm going to do a couple of things in my own site at Next Search Catalog, because there's a couple of things that are hard to set up that I'll show you in my system that are fun things to do in SQL. And by fun, of course, I mean easy and useful. And well, they're hard to set up. I'm one of those people that will spend 15 hours working out a way to save 7 seconds in running a report.
But all those 7 seconds add up.
Yeah, if it's 7 seconds every hour for the course of a whole year, then spending a couple of hours getting something built can be a huge time saver. So I went to reports. I'm going to go to saved reports. And I've got a whole bunch of reports that I plugged in here already. So this is a report, I called it Concat1 because we're going to be talking about concatenation. And I'm going to run this in a new window. And this is just an example of, let's say I needed a report that would show me card numbers, names, and addresses. And this report, I've just got a select, and I've got the fields laid out, card number, surname, first name, other name. I've got all these lined up, and then I'm looking for my sample patrons are always named Frosty, and I give them a card number that starts with FROST. But this comes up this way, so if I wanted to run a report like this and then copy and paste this information into an email, which is something that I have to do from time to time, when I go to copy and paste this, if I copy and paste it into another program, it's going to come out laid out like a CSV file. And this is not often the best, most readable way to send data from point A to point B. Yeah, you got to do a lot of cleanup. And cleanup takes time. So if I can spend 4 or 5 hours writing a report that makes it easier for me to do that, well, like I just said, I'm going to do that. So one of the things that you can do with concatenation is we can take these fields. Actually, let me run that first one again. I shouldn't have closed it. I should keep these going so I can build on them. So here we've got the surname and the first name in separate fields. And by doing concat borrower's name, comma, space, borrower's first name, I can get the name all in one line. So the next time I want to copy and paste this, I've got the first name and the last name all in one line. So it's going to be more readable, and it's going to be easier to copy and paste into something else.
Nice.
And I can go a step further. You notice I have the other name here, which I think we have in our system, we call that the nickname field. So the next thing I want to do is I want to find a way to put that into this name over here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to concatenate it so that I've got it wrapped around with parentheses. Now this report, I'm going to show you what would be the next step. What I'm shooting for is to get last name, first name, and nickname all in one line. And so what I can do now is I can take this concatenation of the middle name, and if I put that on the same line as the first name and the last name and run this again, what happens over here is you end up with these parentheses in places where you don't want them.
Because they don't always have a nickname.
Yeah, if they don't have a nickname and you tell it to put the nickname at the end, if that field's blank, you're going to end up with data there where there might not be data.
Okay.
So that was a step that I didn't prepare for because I hadn't really thought about it. But if I use, this is another thing that you can use in SQL. It's called an if-then statement. So what I've got here is if the borrower's other name is empty, so I've just got a pair of single quotes with no data in it. If that's empty, then I'm going to leave that empty. But if there's something there, so this is the if then, this is the if statement. If this is empty, and this is the then statement, it's leave it empty. But if it's not empty.
So after the first comma, this is what happens if it's true.
Yes.
Okay.
And if it's false, if there is data in the other name, then what I'm doing here is I'm concatenating a space, a parenthesis, the borrower's nickname, and then another parenthesis. And that gets me, so I've got combined on one line, I've got the surname, I've got a comma and a space, I've got the first name, and if the borrower has a nickname, if the borrower's nickname is empty, that's it, it's over. But if the borrower does have a nickname, then it's going to put the nickname in parentheses after their first name.
So you're doing a concatenation within a concatenation.
Yes, including an if-then statement.
Wow.
So there's a lot going on there.
Yes.
But once again, you know, we've gone from having 3 name fields down to having 1 name field. So all of a sudden, this is something really easy to copy and paste if I need to grab data out of the database and copy and paste something into someplace else.
Very nice.
Let's see, that was number 4. So number 5, we're going to go another step further. So now I've combined, I've done another concatenation. This time I've got the city, state, and zip code, and I put all of that on one line.
Okay.
So if I were to copy and paste this now, instead of all that reformatting, I've got a lot less reformatting to do.
Yeah.
But wait, there's more.
Oh no. How
Now that
could
I've
there be more?
pretty simply,
Oh
I've got it
wow.
all into one line now because I've got what I did in the first one. I've got the concatenation, and now that I've got I've got the name concatenation up here. I've got the address concatenation down here. And then what I've done is I've wrapped the whole thing with a concatenate with a separator. So what this does is, you know, when I concatenate the name, I put the comma into, I wrote that out as a string to concatenate between the two fields. Concatenate with separator, what you do up here is you put the thing that you want to separate each piece that you're concatenating. And so by putting that there, I'm saying put an HTML line break between each element here that I concatenate.
Okay.
And so then I've got the name concatenated into one line. I've got address 1, address 2, and each of those is a separate line. And then I've got the city, state, and zip code as the third line.
So now this looks great. I'm noticing that
There's,
address 2 is not being used a lot. Could you work in an if-then statement for that as well?
I was thinking about that before we got together this morning. Let's see, I would need to go to edit. I was thinking about the logic that it takes to do that. So I would want to say if, I'll start with an if-then statement.
Okay, couldn't you wouldn't you concat both addresses with a break in between, kind of like what you did with your names and your nicknames? And if the address 2 has it, then it's going to add the break and the address 2. And if it doesn't have an address, it just stops there.
Yes, that's what I'm going to do. And this is a lot. There are a couple of different ways that you can probably do that. And this is the way that it occurred to me that it would logically work. So I'm going to say if borrower's address 2, I'm going to move that up here. If borrower's address 2 is empty, then all I want is borrower's address 1. But if borrower's address, so if borrower's address 2 equals empty is true, then just give me borrower's address. But if borrower's address 2 empty is false, then I'm going to want to concat borrower's address 1 and then a line break. Whoops, need the shift key there. And then borrower's address 2.
Okay.
And I think I've got all my parentheses correct. And then I can delete these 2 lines and update that. And if I run it now, then that address 2 should only show up if there's an address 2. Let's test that. We can go a step further. We can actually test this. Let's actually put an address 2 into one of these borrowers, so we can prove that we're right.
Yeah. Apartment 5 or something like that. There you go.
So that was Brenda Frosty. Let's run that again. We'll just reload the page.
There you go.
And there, it's there.
Spectacular.
So if I want to copy any of these into a notepad file now or into an email, which I end up doing, now I've got everything I need right there. No reformatting necessary.
Nice. Very nice.
So that's just, that's an easy way to show, you know, an example of concatenation. The concatenate with separator requires that first line, after the first part, to be the thing that you're going to separate with. And you can concatenate as many fields as you can think of. And you can concatenate strings into there. You can do whatever you want to do. And it's going to show up. Now, the one thing that is a downside to doing this is, you know, like I said, I don't use this for every report, because if there's a report that I want to download, when you download this as a comma-separated text file, and it's going to load up Excel, the result is going to be full of all of those HTML. So this is not great if you want to download the data into a report, but if you want to do something with it where it displays and looks nice on the screen, or if you have a report that you want run where, like, you need to, I have a couple of reports like this where I'll want to create notes to put on patrons' accounts. I'll get an email from one of my libraries saying, we have a patron that I need, you know, there's a duplicate patron as a common one, where somebody will let me know that there's one patron that has 2 accounts, which is strictly speaking forbidden in our network. So I can stick a barcode number into a report, and it pops up this note that I can just cut and paste into that patron's account without having to type a bunch of stuff out. That's one of the things I use it for.
So here's a message for Koha developers. Wouldn't it be nice if there was an option in downloads where you could download without the HTML results? It would actually render the HTML into the download. Wouldn't that be cool?
That'd be cool. I don't know how to do that. I don't know the logic of doing that, which is why I'm not a developer.
Well, it'd basically be run the report and then export.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, export from what's on the screen as opposed to what's coming out of the database. Yeah. If there was a way to export the table from the screen.
Yeah. Well, that's very cool. Well, George, thank you for sharing that. I'm sure that's going to help a lot of people with report building. I appreciate you showing us how to use the concat feature and the concat WS. WS stands for?
With separator.
With separator. And then also the if statement.
Yeah, the if statement is one that you can get a lot of mileage out of.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see you next week. Thank you very much.
Yep, I think we're going to talk about SQL again next week. So, I'm George Williams from Northeast Kansas Library System.
I'm Christopher Brandon from the Coeur d'Alene Public Library.
We'll see you later.